This is the entrance to Tule Springs Ranch. Among the many historical buildings at the Tule Springs Ranch, one structure stands out as a reminder of its pioneering past. You might be thinking that this is the iconic water tower that sits on a slight rise surrounded by small white buildings. Good guess. But the structure that I am referring to is the one that gets the least visitor attention, the Adobe Hut. The hut, which I prefer to call the Adobe, was built using blocks of caliche obtained from the nearby dry beds. It was at first a one-room affair, but an addition was added in 1916 when the Ney family occupied the ranch. This has been substantiated by findings from a group evaluating ranch structures for entry into the National Register. It is still uncertain as to who built the adobe and the exact year. The interpretive sign suggests that the structure was made around 1910, but there is evidence that it was erected much earlier than that. For a long time, the Tule Springs were just a dot on the map made by Lieutenant George Wheeler on a map-making expedition in 1869. It had been used for centuries as an oasis by wandering bands of Paiute Indians and later travelers heading to northern Nevada. It has been stated that a well-known Paiute, Whispering Ben, took up residence at the springs in the 1890s. However, according to his descendants, it was his brother, appropriately named Tule Ben, who actually settled there. The Ben family had a small farm and provided water and supplies to passing travelers. It would not be unreasonable to assume that the Ben family built the crude adobe structure to serve as living quarters or for storage. For unknown reasons, the Ben family left the springs to settle elsewhere. The land was not known to be occupied again until 1905, when an interesting character by the name of Lewandowski appeared. He established two crude shacks that he called the U.S. Hotel and an eatery to supply the stage lines heading to the gold fields in Tonopah and other points north. It is said, however, that his main trade item was whiskey. When completed, the Las Vegas to Tonopah Railroad eliminated the need for wagon traffic to bring ore to Las Vegas for transport elsewhere. The springs were again abandoned until the Ney family established a ranch there in 1916. Newspaper reports indicate that the Ney family initially lived in the adobe shelter until a more substantial home could be built. So clearly, the adobe existed before the Neys settled at the springs. It cannot be determined if the Bens built the adobe or Lewandowski built it or used the existing adobe for one of his two structures. On a visit to Las Vegas in 2008, I read about the Tule Springs Park. Out of historical interest, I visited the park, and like most visitors, even today, unaware of the historical details, did a cursory self-guided tour of the historic area, but was not suitably impressed with what was before me. However, I stumbled across this primitive adobe hut with its crumbling walls and protective metal canopy. I read the interpretive sign, and even then knew that this building, even in its present state, was something special and worthy of restoration. I did not know at the time that the city of Las Vegas had just acquired the park from the State Parks Division, and plans had been made to restore the Adobe. In fact, the Adobe was the second structure on the list of renovations after the foreman's house. The project cost $98,000. It was completed in 2016. The canopy was removed and the Adobe enclosed by a fence. If it were not for some forward-thinking people, this relic of early Las Vegas would have been lost forever, since the original plans for the park had proposed that the Adobe be destroyed. So the next time that you visit the park, spend a few moments at the Adobe Hut and imagine what it was like living in the unforgiving desert far from civilization and having to survive on your own. Think of the hardships endured by the Tule, Ben, and Bert Ney families, and how they paved the way for you to enjoy this lovely setting. Then you will truly appreciate what stands before you.